Hey, welcome back to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but first, let's hear from our podcast sponsors. Hey, we want to thank Final Forms for their support of Wednesday Wisdom and the Educational AD Podcast. Final Forms is the leader in athletic forms registration. But you got to know this, Final Forms is more than just forms and registration. Final Forms is a team, it's technology, and it's a service that serves schools with compliance, communication, and risk management solutions. Final Forms can also help your stakeholders with mobile accessibility, has reminders for parents about policies, about physicals, about athletic forms, can help with team communication, can help with attendance, and can even help with certification management for coaches. For athletic directors, it can help with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. Plus, it has secure language translation and compliance. It's time for you to talk with a team that's walked in your shoes. To take the next steps and find out what Final Forms can do for you and your program, go to finalforms.com/Jake. Once again, go to finalforms.com/Jake. Find out exactly what Final Forms can do for you. We also want to thank Violet Defense for their support. Violet Defense is dedicated to protecting our world from germs by bringing the power of UV disinfection to everyday spaces. Their patented technology enables them to harness the power of the sun to incorporate ultraviolet light into products and environments like never before. Whether you're ready to implement some of their existing products, or if you'd like to explore researching and developing a custom deployment of their technology for your school, Violet Defense has the solutions and the experience you need. Go to violetdefense.com for more information about their great products. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive for their support. You know, it's becoming harder and harder to fund an athletic department, but Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year while creating excitement in the gym and the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com for more information. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com and find out exactly what their fantastic products can do for you. We also want to thank Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they are on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They have a variety of interactive touchscreen video consoles, along with an extensive library of templates to make it easier than ever to recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. For more ideas on how to showcase your school's proudest moments, along with its diverse history, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Or to learn more and get started with your own digital Wall of Fame tribute, call them at 614-981-3589, or you can email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to thank our good friends at Huddle. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Over 180,000 teams, including some of the best in the world, use Huddle to help their teams and athletes play better. Huddle's the complete performance platform. They have online tools, mobile and desktop apps, smart cameras like the Huddle Focus. There's always been analytics and a whole lot more. Huddle is built for every level of play, from club and youth teams all the way through high schools and colleges, and even the pros have been using Huddle to help their teams play at their highest level. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including your student athletes, a lot of their parents, and the coaches of the college and university teams you're trying to get to recruit your kids. If you want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. We also want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for sponsoring the Athletic Director Toolbox segment of our podcast. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic department. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also connects you with the 95% of the parents and the student athletes who really love your program. And it gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Talk to the folks at Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack and let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. And we also want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. You can find out more about what Hometown Ticketing can do for you and your program by going to hometownticketing.com and talking to their experts. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We're back with a good friend, Meghan OLeary. She presented in our second week, and she's back for a second round on Wednesday Wisdom. For those of you that might not know, Meghan's got quite a background in the world of athletics. She was an outstanding high school athlete. She was a outstanding Division I scholar athlete in 2 sports, and she's actually a 2-time Olympian. And last time she was on, she shared about a moment in her life where a coach was encouraging to her, and it was really kind of the touchstone to her getting on the path to becoming an Olympic athlete. She's also a very successful entrepreneur, and she's just doing a lot of different things. She worked for ESPN before. I could go on and on, but Meghan OLeary, welcome back to Wednesday Wisdom. And what do you got for us this week?
Yeah, Jake, thanks for having me back. Yeah, as you were kind of spouting off my background, it came to mind. Obviously, I've done a lot, but one thing that I think that is resonant and that I've experienced in all those different areas, whether it was as an athlete, as a student athlete, as early as my years in college, as an entrepreneur, and working, but also in having conversations with my friends who are in coaching careers, who are athletic directors or administrators, and I think it's common right now, is this theme of overexhaustion, burnout at its extreme. And I think we see that for various reasons. Obviously, we're all managing a big thing that's been happening for a couple of years. But I think beyond that, and when you really look at the sporting space, it's changed a lot. And the pressures of not only performance, but compliance and regulation and everything that, especially if you're working on that side of being a coach, being an administrator, is just leveled up in terms of what you have to manage. And so along with that comes stress. And you have a life outside of that. And so I've had several friends depart and leave the career because they're so tired. And, I even, as an athlete, when I think back in terms of tapping into my empathy and sort of wanting to also reflect and say, hey, I've had similar experience. It does come at a time when you've just, you've been overworked, to put simply. But I think there are elements to that we can kind of maybe cope, but also ward it off before it becomes that point of throwing up your hands and being exhausted enough to walk away or have to shut it down. Sometimes that's the right move, of course. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today. I mean, for me personally, I had a really critical moment in my Olympic career. It was following the Rio Games, leading into, a couple years into the 2020 cycle. And I'm an older athlete, so recovery is so important. But I was scaling the startup that I'd co-founded. I was full-time training as an Olympic athlete. Had some stuff going on in my personal life, all these stressors, and my body just shut down on me. Athletes, the sporting space, they call it overtraining syndrome, but that's burnout. The body burns out, the mind burns out, and I had to reset. unfortunately I had someone to help me recognize that like, this is what you need to do, and guided me through that. But a few of the other things were remembering that, hey, this is something that maybe I could have controlled earlier, but I can't control everything. I can only control what I can control. To be kind to myself, that I'm not invincible, and that muscling through this isn't going to actually fix the problem. And then, this is going to impact other people around me. So don't be selfish in that, in terms of like, well, I'm just going to put my head down and hopefully this will just right itself. That, whether if I was a coach, I had athletes, right, that are looking up to me. I need to lead up by example. I had a teammate that was relying on me. So I had to take care of myself to take care of her. And so, I've been thinking a lot about that, as we're navigating what feels like just an unprecedented time for everyone, but particularly, a lot of my peers and friends in the sports space.
Yeah, you and I talked about it a little bit before we came on. You in the high school level, we hear about it far too often. An athletic director leaving the profession after a year or two, or I think the average is 3.5 years or something. And from our professional organizations, we're trying to get to them and talk about organizational skills and within the profession. And yeah, we do mentor, and we do talk about the mental health and the finding balance. I think those are the terms that are mentioned most frequently. But it's just you just hate to see it at any level, high school or college. You obviously navigated those challenges as an elite athlete, very successfully. Do you have any other success stories or success techniques that you've experienced personally or with others that you might be able to pass on to our listeners?
Yeah, and it likens itself. I had to actually revisit it. So I had this mantra in 2016, because I went from Googling the sport of rowing to going to the Olympics. And it was just every day counts, right? That 1% better, learn something every day, but really break it down. Because if I had picked up an oar for the first time, it was like, I'm going to go to the Olympics. That is an overwhelming thought and an overwhelming sort of, deep valley that you have to cross. And if I sort of was trying to achieve that in a day, I would just be paralyzed, right? I think in the same way, when you're navigating those feelings of being overwhelmed or overworked, you will not solve it in a day. I think as athletes, everyone's wired to just like fix it, right? Like, well, I can work harder to solve this problem and that is counterintuitive. So for me, it was going back to that and really breaking down whatever that problem may be. So for me in the moment, if it's overexhaustion, overstress, break it down and try and just get a little bit better in the certain segments that will add up to a solution. And I think that's a really common sense answer, but in practice, it can be really hard for people because, and the second part to that is prioritization. You mentioned it in terms of, time management, organizational skills. Those are skills and they can be hard and difficult for people to execute on, but they can be really powerful in finding balance, right? So, I also think as athletes and coaches, we want to do it all. And sometimes it is all asked of us. And it is really hard to either say no or put up that boundary, or through the lens of what are my priorities, make smarter decisions. And so for me, especially, I really had to revisit my priorities and make decisions around that versus trying to do it all. And maybe that include pleasing everyone or, I wanted to do so many things, but really when it came down to it, you kind of have to narrow your focus. And so those are a couple of the tools that, breaking it down, make the problem smaller, moving through problems one at a time rather than just solving the big one. And then, that really sharpening your prioritization lens, I think it's a muscle, because I think it can, as our list gets longer and longer, we can consider everything a priority versus, really remembering, well, what is important today or what is important for my goals and the goals of the people around me.
Right. Now, you're so right on that. In any field, in any profession, you got to do the job or you won't have a job. But there's things within that doing the job that it can wait till tomorrow. It can wait till Monday, and just being able to, as you said, prioritize, organize, and maybe take that bigger picture look is so critical. I'm going to put you on the spot. You were, again, very successful at a number of different levels as an athlete, coaching, business. Is there someone, maybe it was a coach or maybe it was someone in the world of business, that you can look back at or even look at now and point to as someone that really has it together in that area, that they do a great job of prioritizing, and maybe one thing that sticks out about that person for you? You got anybody in mind?
Oh man, that is a big question. Gosh, well, I have a sort of, I'd call her one of my mentors. And she's navigated, she didn't come to athletics until later in life, actually. But she navigated building a career, building a family. And then, what I've admired is finding time for herself. I think it took her a while to get there. I don't think it was something she always did, but it's admirable in terms of her ability to sort of, set boundaries. And that, I think, also it demands of her like a certain amount of focus to then do the work, just like you said, do the work when the work needs to be done, and do it well so that it's not over your head for a long time. And then you can come over here, spend time with your family, then you can come over here and do something for yourself. Her name's Sharon, but she is sort of a mentor that I think emulates that ability. And certainly she's learned it, but it's that prioritization, it's that focus. Certainly she's very competent, but so it's been lovely for me, but also a really good model of how it can be done.
Oh, absolutely. Learning from others, that's, or as we say in the world of athletic directing, stealing from others. It all works out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Meghan OLeary, I know you are tremendously busy. We appreciate you taking some time out to be a part of Wednesday Wisdom. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out and maybe pick your brain a little bit, I don't want to overwhelm your inbox. I know you're on Twitter a little bit. You're on LinkedIn. What's the best way that they might reach out and maybe find out a little bit more from an elite athlete, a two-time Olympian, successful businesswoman? How can they reach out and maybe find out a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. I'm on LinkedIn, Meghan OLeary, and then with Twitter and Instagram, Meghan OLeary 1, verified. So look for that blue check. And then, I'll go ahead and give my email out. I do take, I take cold emails. I do try and take the time to answer people, because people did that for me. I think that's important. So it's Meghan OLeary 1 at gmail.com. So hopefully easier to remember for everyone.
Okay. Well, thanks again for being a part of Wednesday Wisdom. Really enjoyed having you on, and I personally enjoyed getting to know you. For our listeners, remember the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews get uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening today. Come back again next Wednesday for more Wednesday Wisdom, and just about every day for the Educational AD Podcast. Have a great day. We want to thank everyone for listening to Wednesday Wisdom. We appreciate the downloads. And if you have any ideas on future guests, please shoot me an email at jakestouchdown@gmail.com, and we will see what we can do to get them on. We also want to take a moment and thank our sponsors. Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. Remember, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. Go to sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com for more information. We want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. They sponsor the AD Toolbox segment of the podcast. Athletic Surveys allow you to collect some comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Go to info@athleticsurveys.com, shoot them an email, and find out what they can do for you. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com for more information. We also want to thank Huddle for their support. Huddle has been using video and analytics for years to help teams and athletes play at their highest level. Go to huddle.com for more information. Violet Defense is also one of our sponsors. They use the power of ultraviolet light to disinfect your athletic facilities and rooms. Go to violetdefense.com to find out more about what they can do for you. Also want to thank Sideline Interactive, video boards and score tables. We have one in our gym and it's fantastic. Email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com for more information. And we want to thank Final Forms for their sponsorship. Final Forms is more than just athletic forms. Find out everything that they can do for you by going to finalforms.com/Jake for more information. Again, we appreciate you tuning in to Wednesday Wisdom and the Educational AD podcast. Come back next time.